Hello everyone and welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we are going to do a playthrough of Hellboy the board game. Now this is an adventure game. It's based off of the comic of Hellboy, and I'll be completely honest, I don't know pretty much anything about Hellboy, but I did see that a lot of people are really enjoying this game, and I was able to pick up a Kickstarter version of the game. So I am playing with the core set right now, core set only, but it is the Kickstarter version, so you're going to see some of the upgraded components. You also might see I have some doors here that look a little bit different. I decided to use my sword and sorcery doors. I think they look really nice on the board, and hey, gets them on camera, so why not? Today we're going to play the case door number 1, and I will say that although this game is replayable, there are certain things that happen within a case that if you watch this, you might not want to see if you're worried about spoilers. So I'm just letting you know that now. This video will be just setting up the game, so you don't have to worry about that, other than we'll read the intro. But if you're going to watch this entire playthrough series, just know that there might be some spoilers for the door number 1 case. There are 5 other cases in the base set that even is in the retail version. In the Kickstarter, I've got an additional, I think, 3 or 4, and a way to generate random ones. And there are a couple expansions as well. With that, let's go ahead and jump into setting up the game. If you want to just jump into the playthrough, check out the next video on this playlist. Let's get going. The first part of setup, you'll want to pick out your case. So we're going to play the door number 1 case. The thing about the cases in the game, none of them are linked. You can play any one at any time. So usually what they recommend, determining what type of game you want to play, how hard you want to play it. So you can see here it says challenge rating medium and duration long. I thought, you know what, I want to show you the full essence of the game, and I feel like you'll get that in the long version. Hope that's okay. I think this scenario is pretty cool, so that's why I want to showcase it. One of the BPRD's responsibilities is the cataloging and monitoring of known sites of supernatural activity. Our records stretch back centuries, but they're far from complete. It doesn't happen often, but when a new site turns up, one that's clearly been around for a while, but which we haven't previously discovered, it's our duty to investigate it as quickly as possible. After all, these places rarely come to light by accident. Their sudden discovery usually means that someone wants to put them to use. In our experience, that's rarely a good thing. A source has come forward reporting what might be an ancient underground temple hidden in a mountain cave. Check it out and keep your wits about you. Who knows what you'll find inside? We flip the card over and it tells us all these different items that we need to know. So first of all, we need to set up our deck of doom. And the deck of doom will use cards with these different icons. So these are kind of your basic ones. These are traps. I have no idea what these two exactly stand for, but you'll look at the cards, and here I'll show you an example. So this is a doom card. See how it's got that pink? You look on the upper left-hand side and find cards with all those symbols on them. Okay, and then put those together. Also, each of the investigators or agents will have one card that's denoted to them. So I'm going to be playing with Johan, with Abe, and Hellboy. So I've grabbed each one of their specific Doom cards and put it in this stack as well. And we'll shuffle those up and have those ready for the game. Here we have our HQ board, and we have set our deck of Doom right here. Our next step will be setting up our encounter deck. We are going to be playing with 3 agents, so I'm going to grab 2 blue, 1 yellow, 4 red, and 1 green type of encounter cards. Once again, these are just like the Doom cards. There's these colors on the actual encounter cards, so you're going to pull all of those and randomly choose them. So I'll randomly choose all those different types. Then you can see here it says, deal a face-down card into each room marked with an X. And you can see here that has an X, that one, and that one. So those 3. Then shuffle the remaining cards with the 2 of these cards, these symboled encounter cards, and deal them face down into each remaining room, except the sealed room, which is marked Y. This will not have an encounter card. You can see here now, every room except for this Y room right here that's sealed, apparently. This one does not have an encounter card. All the other ones do. These 3 we know don't have that B encounter card, and then any of the, well, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that we have out here are then messed up with those 2 specific B encounter cards, but we don't know where they are. We can see here it now says discard this card after placing the encounter cards, and yeah, you can see we've set the map up that way. Put insight markers on spaces 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 of the information gathered track, and then put a reaction marker on this card and its matching trigger marker on the following space of the impending doom track. We have 3 agents, so that's space 11. If the impending doom marker reaches the trigger marker, or if all agents are knocked out at the same time, skip to the end phase, flip this card at the end of that phase. Then move this card, right now, we're doing this now, move this card to the in-play area along with the card beneath it. Do not look at that card, keep it under this one. And then discard both cards if the confrontation begins. So we don't get to see this card or the next card. I'll take both of these and put them in the in-play area. Here we have our impending doom track, and you can see if we get to 11, because we're playing 3-player, then we have to reveal that card underneath this specific card that we just read. This is where we'll put all of the in-play case cards as well. Those insight markers are right here. This is the investigation track. As we move up this, we will collect these, and they'll help us in the confrontation, because in this game, you'll always have a confrontation with the boss, which is one of the things I really like about the game. You always get that cool, awesome, epic finish. Good news. Your source seems to check out. Finding the outer door is surprisingly easy, and you make your way into what is unmistakably a temple. How long it's been here, you have no idea. To your left stands a great stone door sealed tight with no obvious way of opening it. Ominously, you swear you can hear muffled chanting from behind it. Another smaller door stands opposite it, and that one opens just fine. Better get moving. So what we need to do is prepare the minion slots as followed. You'll see the minion slots in a second. We have rampaging frog monsters as minion A, transforming frog monsters in B, venomous frog monsters in C, and armed monsters in location D. I'll show you that in a second, but let's flip this card. It states here, begin the first round. If an agent interacts with a point of interest, discard this card. So then we get to see what's underneath it. At the bottom of the HQ board, we have slots for our minion cards. We have them set up as follows: the rampaging, transforming, venomous, and the armed frogs with their minis that are associated with them. And I knocked one over. We'll go ahead and look at these cards more in detail as we play. The active case card will be placed right here along with all of the cards underneath it that we have not seen yet. Now let's go ahead and set up our agents. Here we have Johann Kraus. Every one of our agents starts with 3 action cubes. Whenever you do an action, you remove this cube from our board, and then when you have used all 3, you're done with doing your actions. What's fun about this game is no one has a specific turn. You can use your actions at any time. You just work together on making sure everyone resolves all of their cubes, and that will be the agent phase. Each character has special rules and unique actions. So for Johann, he's a dead man walking. Johann does not suffer injuries. Instead, for each damage he suffers while he has no empty health track spaces, reduce his ectoplasmic stability tracker by 1. I'll show you what that is in a second, but here's where he will take his wounds first. So he'll first take them just like this, face down, and then what happens to most people is once this gets filled, we start flipping them. For him, we don't flip them. Instead, we started affecting his ectoplasmic stability, and if that goes down to 0, he's actually KO'd. He does have a containment suit, so whenever the agents take time, we actually get to reset the ectoplasmic stability, which is nice. And then he has an ability that when he's testing his, explore, when he's trying to search, if he rolls one of these symbols, which looks like this, it's a wild symbol on the effect die, then he can advance the gathered track he can advance it another space in addition to any other effect that he wants. It's pretty cool. He has some different unique actions that he can do. I'm not going to read all those to you. While he's playing, we'll use those and we can talk about them. Just know that this denotes how many action tokens it needs to use them. So to possess, he's going to have to use 2 of his action tokens for that. And you only get 3 around. Also, down here, it denotes his starting cards, which we'll look at in a second, and his starting threat. His threat is 5, so when we set up the priority track, anybody who has higher threat than Johann will be farther up on the priority track. Here are Johann's 2 starting cards. Here's his ectoplasmic stability. It starts where the X is. If ever that gets all the way down to here, he gets knocked out. He also has a sidearm. This allows him to attack range. Oh, and I should show you this. You can see up here on the player board, it denotes which type of die that Johann will roll for these type of effects. The dice level up, which is one of the coolest parts of this game. The yellow ones are the weakest, followed by the orange, followed by the red. So he's the best at exploring. He is average at defending because that's the orange. And then you can, if you spend additional actions, level up to the black dice, which are the absolute best. In order to attack range, though, you need a range weapon. So he has his sidearm here that he can use to then attack range. If he does roll a skull on the effect die, though, it becomes he's out of ammo. He'll flip it over, and you'll have to spend an action to put more ammo in. Pretty cool. Here we have Abe. Abe is pretty cool. He's agile, so when Abe makes a move action, he can move up to 3 areas instead of 2 and suffers no damage when evading enemies. Wow, awesome. Rapid healing. Whenever the agents take time, Abe heals 2 damage automatically. Also, he has quick reflexes, so when he's testing his fight, which is his fist, or the shoot, which is the range attack, he can spend that wild symbol again to return an action cube to Abe's agent board. Cool. His starting threat is 6, so he will be farther up on the target priority track to start with, and his starting items are Abe's sidearm and his harpoon. His harpoon you can use as a melee weapon. When you do, he gets to upgrade one of his fight dice, so instead of rolling 3 orange, he would roll 2 orange and 1 red, just to start with his harpoon. He can also use it for a range attack, but then he has to flip this over. He also has a sidearm that he can use. Last but not least, we have Hellboy. So his special rules are, seen it all before. Once per round, when Hellboy spends an action cube to upgrade a test die on an examine test for himself or another agent, upgrade 2 dice rather than 1. He's fire resistant, so Hellboy never suffers more than 1 fire damage from a single attack or effect. And if he rolls that wild symbol when he does a fight test, he can actually heal 2 damage. Awesome. His starting equipment will be Hellboy's pistol and deep pockets. Here we have Hellboy's pistol. It's a ranged weapon. If the target is hit, it suffers 5 additional damage, which is awesome, but then you have to flip the card. And my guess, if I remember right, yep, it's out of ammo. So then he has to spend an action to put more ammo in. Deep pockets is kind of fun. Flip this card during the agent phase to draw from the bottom of the requisition deck until you find one of these different types of items. Keep it and return any others to the deck. And you'll see that requisition deck in a second. I forgot to mention that Hellboy's threat is 10 and his strongest stat is his fighting. Totally makes sense. So he is at the highest part of the target priority, so we put his bust there. That's then going to be followed by Abe, followed by Johann. Okay. Now, every time that we use the target priority, what's going to happen is that person's going to go to the back and everyone's going to move forward. It's kind of a cool way of making sure everyone gets their time in the limelight to be attacked. I like how they do this, though. It works well. Here we have our requisition deck. So instead of having loot that you pick up while you're playing this game, you get to use credits at the beginning of the game to purchase some items to bring with you. You can even pay for additional BPRD agents that will come with you, kind of like a sidekick. Now, I'm definitely not going to do that because that's even controlling more characters. I think 3 is enough. So I'm just going to purchase some items. I'll show you which ones I'm choosing. I have 7 credits to purchase from. I'm playing 3-player, I get 7. If you're playing with 4-player, you get 6. And if you're playing with 2-player, you get 8. I'm going to go ahead and give Hellboy these 2 items, the Lucky Charm and the Field Dressing. Each one costs $1. You can see 1 and 1. And this one says, flip this card to ignore all damage inflicted on your agent by a single attack or game effect. Then you'll flip it. Probably says we can do it a second time. Oh yeah, when the agent takes time, roll this. On a blank, discard this card, otherwise flip it. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Over here we have Field Dressing. Spend an action to heal up to a total of 2 damage from your agent and or another agent in your area. Then we'll flip this. I'm not going to flip it now. But so these are the 2 items that he's going to have. Abe's going to go ahead and get armor-piercing ammo and the concussive grenade. That costs a total of 3. So 3 plus the 2 is 5. This one states you can spend an action cube to flip this card and tuck it under a weapon with the gun icon. You can do this without spending an action cube when you reload the weapon, which is kind of cool. And then just so you can see what happens. Then when you do a shoot test are made with this weapon, count the target's resilience as being 2 lower. Discard this card if the weapon runs out of ammo. Great way to be able to get those enemies that have some additional armor. Then we have the concussive grenade. This is a ranged weapon. You'll roll 3 red dice, and then and it says regardless of what your shoot skill is, and then apply it to the result to each enemy in the target area, and then you discard this after use. So it's a one-time use, but great to maybe hit the boss with, or if we're getting surrounded by enemies, we can chuck that in a room. Johan's going to grab the PRD HQ comms link, cost 2, and that gets us to our total of 7. When you make an investigate rest action, advance the information gather track 3 times instead of twice, then flip this card. Just another way we can push ourselves through the information track and get as many of those insight markers as we can. Finally, make sure to grab all your dice. You can see there's the yellow, orange, red, and black as we denoted earlier, and our effect die. Whenever you roll to resolve anything, you'll always roll 3 dice, and it'll depend upon which colors you have, dependent upon your stat, if you get downgraded or upgraded, and then you'll always roll the effect die. It's so fun. This is probably my favorite part of the game, are these dice. Really is interesting. Oh yeah, and we do have our wound tokens over here. Those are important too, because if you take wounds that fill up your track, you start flipping them over and they'll start reducing or downgrading your dice for certain stats. Like this one would downgrade your fight dice. So it's another cool mechanic. Hope you guys are excited to go through this case. I am pumped. Can't wait to show you guys how this game works. I'll catch you at the next stop.